little bambinos. How are we all doing? Hope you are all having a lovely day. It's me, your host, Jasmine. I am coming to you today on the Into It podcast. Obviously, you already know that. You've picked the podcast, you've decided to listen to it. It literally says Into It with Jasmine Dine, but we're out here, we're marketing, so we've got to get things, put into the little spiel, the little pitch, the little intro. Anyway, welcome back. Nice to see you all. I've been really enjoying that it's getting a little bit lighter. It'd be like 4 o'clock and it'll still be a bit light. I'm like, ooh, it's coming. Spring is coming. I cannot wait. I think it's gonna be so fun this year. I'm really excited. I feel like I haven't done anything, that I don't know, like felt that spring/summery for a few years. Didn't have that much money and it was COVID and different things was happening. So now I'm like, this year is going to be great. The long days, sitting outside a lot. I'm looking forward to it. And what I'm really enjoying every day is that obviously at this time of year, it's so easy to catch both the sunrise and the sunset. And when we go on the dog walk in the morning, every morning, obviously, the skies are always these beautiful like blues and pinks and oranges and all these lovely colors, and it's always like a sight for sore eyes. And then I work in my conservatory, so I can see when the sun goes down as well, so it's just really nice. It's just really, really nice. I feel like it's nice to just see all the different colors, and I'm excited for all the colors to come back on the trees and all the flowers to start blooming and the daffodils to be along the road. It's nice, isn't it? It's really nice when you see different colours. And on the subject of colours, let's get colourful, colourful. I wanna get colourful. Anyway, yeah, I went to the opticians the other day and I've needed to get my eyes sorted out for ages, right? I get headaches when I look at things and I sit like 2 centimeters from a laptop screen because I literally cannot see. Like on a Teams call, I have to have my camera off now because I'm so close to the thing. If they put like a shared screen on where it's a spreadsheet, I need to be able to see it, so I have to lean in. Anyway, long story short, getting some glasses. I had an eye test in like 2018, got some glasses, but I feel like I just got too embarrassed to like say things right. I was just being anxious as fuck because I was going through a difficult time at that point. And like when you're in an appointment and they'll be like, "Is this better or is this better?" And I just used to get so, I mean, I feel like it did happen the other day as well, but especially back in like 2018, would get so anxious to just give an answer that I would not process it. Like my brain would be on, like survival brain, where it's like it cannot, actually think about things properly. So I was just like, oh, whichever one was the easiest one to answer at the time. So the glasses basically were wrong. Um, so yeah, so I had the wrong glasses. Then I moved abroad. Then I didn't have any glasses. And then yeah, went to the opticians on Saturday. It's actually really annoying as well because I had kind of not anticipated that it would be so busy at the optician. So like when they said it would be a 20-minute appointment, I planned to get picked up like half an hour after the appointment started. I gave myself an extra 10 minutes. By my dad, who was coming to visit from down south, and he's driven all the way up, and then he's not got much time because he's got to drive all the way back as well. Um, so I felt a bit guilty. But anyway, I nearly didn't do the appointment because it was like well late. Anyway, long story short, did the appointment. One eye is a bit messed up, but the other one's fine. And what they've said to me is that like I need to use, well, I need to get these glasses from them apparently. But I probably will get them from them. So I don't know. I said it like I have to get them from them, but you know what I mean. Anyway, the glasses I need have a like a green tint to the frames, not to the frames. Is it the frames? The glass bit. No, the frames is the frames. Oh my God, what an idiot I am. Okay, no need to be disrespectful, Jasmine. Ow. Yeah, green tint in my glasses to help me with white lights from like screens. For work, obviously, I've got to work. Not obviously, but I work on a laptop all day, so I'm obviously just constantly looking at the screen, and then I'm doing a podcast looking at the screen, and then I'm doing shit on my phone looking at the screen, then I'm looking at the TV looking at the screen, and I do spend time like looking at other things, but my eyes still get sore anyway. Long story short, a girl's got to work. So green tints in my glasses. Sunsets every day making me feel excited. Sunrises every day making me feel excited. Colours everywhere making me feel excited. What are we talking about today? Colours. Now, I found out some very interesting shit about colours. Stuff that you think, yeah, 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 we all know that, but am I actually thinking about it proactively? Hell fucking no. Hell no. and I think most of us probably aren't. Like, there is a lot of benefits to different colors and a lot of things that we associate with colors, a lot of interesting things about colors, a lot of ways that colors are being used to manipulate you through advertising and stuff like that, and a lot of ways that colors could be benefiting us if we are willing to utilize them, basically. So hold tight because I've got so many studies today to talk about. I'm basically gonna link everything in the link in bio, but I'm not gonna say like the long parts about the studies because I can, when I listen back to the episodes, I can kind of tell that that's where it's probably a bit boring when I'm like, at the University of Alabama in 1622, they said this at the by Helen and this person, da 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 da. Like, you don't need to see all that. If you're interested in it, everything that I speak about will have links from the research that I've done. It'll be to do with the different studies, it'll be from different books, it'll be from different things, all sorts of different resources that are useful, that I think are really worth having a look at. I definitely think, go and have a look at the link in bio, see if there's anything that catches your eye. If you just like to read about things, if you're a bit like me, you just like to like randomly be reading about some random subject for not really any reason whatsoever, except for just that it's interesting to you, then check out my link in bio because that is one good resource. Anywho, colours, they are a mad thing. They are the lifeblood of our life. They are the thing that gives us joy. They are not the only thing, but one of the things that brings us joy. When you think about colours, they evoke emotion. They have a lot of power. Colours are powerful. If you haven't been living under a rock or you haven't been listening to my podcast, no, wait. If you haven't been living under a rock, if you haven't been living under a rock, and simultaneously have been listening to this podcast, you may agree that all of our individual realities are simply based on our perceptions. And our perceptions are based on loads of things, but are mostly our associations between things. That's how everything works. That's the shit I've been going on about. It's all the connections, it's all the nuances, it's all the different things between different things, all the different points with the red string, point, blah, 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 blah. A lot of that comes down to color. It's one of the fundamental things that we see when we process information all around us, everything around us that we process constantly in our brains. Like when you are just looking forward, if you think about every item that's in the room, your brain kind of picks up on certain things. That's why, like, sometimes you'll be looking for something, you just can't find it, even though it's right in front of you, because your brain is like just deciding what to pick up on, based on what you've fed it and what you've told it you want it to look for, kind of thing. Like if you say, buy me a yellow car, you'll see a yellow car, kind of thing. But yeah, colours are how we associate things between each other a lot. And it has kept us safe. It's what helped us survive through many, many eons. It's how we've navigated the world. It's how we, process memories, and it's part of our interactions. And, like, colours can have a big effect on people. And you guys know, if you've been listening to this podcast or you're one of my friends that has decided to listen to my podcast, to be nice, thank you, hi, love you, how are you all doing? Um, sorry for not texting you back. No, but y'all know I love poetry, basically. I am a poet myself, and I think through words is a lot of the time how descriptions of colours can be so evocative. And I saw this little poem that I wanted to read to you guys. So, like it or lump it, it'll probably take about 30 seconds, so don't worry about it too much if you don't like poetry. Tune out for a second. Take this moment to think about something else. If you do like poetry, listen up, bitches! So this poem is called Colour Effect, and it's by William Henry Dawson. It says, have you noticed that some colours really grate upon your nerves, till you feel just like the pitcher looks when he is twirling curves, trying hard to fan the batter, causing him to pound the air, feeling for the little bullet just to find it was not there? Other colours set you frantic, calling back your childhood days when you just cut some funny antic or engaged in childish plays. Others sets the pump a-going, and the fountains of your tears starts in spite of you to flowing like it flowed in other years. But the one that really thrills your heart until you want to sing is the red which you discovered when a boy in Blackbird's wing. Damn, girl! It's a deep poem about colours, but I really like that poem. I thought it was cute. I thought like, oh, yeah, colours do get you fucking going. Like the bull. Like the bull when they see a red thing, they're like, bam, that's us. That is actually us. We think it's not us. We think we're not animalistic as fuck, but we so are. It's interesting as well because a lot of our associations with colours, I think, come from the very deepest, most animalistic side of us. If you think about it, like I saw this study, this person, or these two people, Hill and Barton in 2005, noted that in many non-human animals, including obviously primate species, dominance in aggressive encounters, so like obviously about superior physical condition, is signaled by the bright red of oxygenated blood visible on highly vascularized bare skin. Yeah, sounded aggressive what I was saying then. um, and even in humans, in aggressive encounters, a testosterone surge produces visible reddening of the face. Obviously, fear also leads to pallor as well. So, and it's also been noted that the parallel between humans and non-humans present at the physiological level may extend to artificial stimuli, such that like wearing red in a sport contest may convey dominance and lead to a competitive advantage. It literally makes you feel more empowered and makes the other team feel more scared of you on a very, very subconscious level. Yeah. I don't know, like I saw a thing by Shanagizi in 2006, which contended that trichromatic vision evolved to enable primates, including humans, to detect subtle changes in blood flow beneath the skin that carry important information about the emotional state of the conspecific. It says here, I don't know what conspecific means, but I'm presuming it means the other person or the other being. Increased red can convey anger, embarrassment, or sexual arousal, whereas increased bluish or greenish tint in the skin can convey illness or poor physiological condition. So obviously this visual sensitivity to these color modulations basically facilitates various forms of social interaction, which at the bottom of it all, sometimes do you ever just like look around and think like we're all just these like weird little organisms on a rock? Like, mate, don't send me west right now, but seriously, like I actually find it kind of crazy when I think about it. Like we're just all these little beings, and we all just think we've got everything figured out. And we're so smart, but actually we're just all like, red. It's quite funny. But I'll tell you a bit more about our vision stuff because it is quite interesting. I've been reading actually about how we see stuff in one of the books I'm reading, and I've always known that I think it's the what's it called? Type of shrimp, something type of shrimp, mantis shrimp. I'll Google that in a minute, but can see more colors than we can see. And to me, that is insane. I want to see all the colors. Like, they're so cool. But let me find out for real and I'll get back to you. 1 second. I'm going to pause it so you won't even know. It'll just go straight from me saying this into me being like, yeah, here it is. But congratulations, you get to do the quick version. Yes, here it is. Apparently, okay, so it says here it's the cones. Light sensitive cells called photoreceptors in the retinas of our eyes enable us to perceive colours. Humans have about 7 million cones of three types. Dogs, on the other hand, have two types of cones. Humans have trichromatic vision. We see a broad range of colours and tones on the visible colour spectrum, while dogs have dichromatic vision. They see only part of it. Essentially, more cones means more colours. It's funny though, because it says here, on a rainy day, dogs see a very different rainbow from us. Oh, they miss out on rainbows. They see an arc of dark blue, grey, light yellow, dark grey, a kind of blue, beige, and grey black. Our oranges and yellows are their brownish. Our greens, they're beige. Oh my God. Poor doggies, man. I can't believe that they don't see orange and yellow the same. Proper shit that. I have all of our walls in our house are orange as well, but not by choice, by the way. That is literally what it was like when we came. But I mean, it is really intense. But the dog literally must think we just live in this big brown house, which is actually kind of like cozy, is it? Maybe she thinks it's like a den. That is actually quite cute, actually. Maybe she doesn't mind. Or she just thinks, oh my God, I'm in this hellhole where all the walls are brown. Not that brown can't be a nice color, but obviously in a space it can make it feel darker. Whereas to us, the orange is like super bright. Always feels like, oh my God, so bright in it all the time. Which is actually another thing as well. Like when we moved here, it was like, oh, but orange is like an energetic color, and it's in our bedroom. Like our bedroom, like every room is orange. Like, well, it's a bit yellow upstairs, but we sleep downstairs because of the dog. Anyway, going on myself. So, apparently, so some species of fish, many birds and insects are tetrachromats, which is four cones. Apparently, well, not apparently, it says here we can't begin to imagine the alien landscape that they see. The person says, I see alien because it's completely invisible to us, and if we suddenly developed an extra cone, we'd be unable to describe to our friends what we'd see. This is, by the way, David R. Hamilton talking. Tetrachromatic vision even allows some of these species to see a wavelength in the ultraviolet range. Studies show that some birds use this for sexual selection. Frisky bastards. Also, if you can hear like little like scattering around, it is actually just the dog walking on the floor. She's just like, la la la, I'm up now. You've disturbed my nap by being too loud in here. It says here, just as a human might have a preference for a partner with dark hair or light hair, which by the way, boring. These birds might choose a mate for the luminous, vibrating, effervescent colours in its plumage, which look to us like regular feathers. So they've got all. We just think some birds are like boring colours, but they could actually be like cool colours. Have you ever seen the thing where it's like what flowers look like to bees and stuff, and it's like proper ultraviolet? If you Google that, oh my god, change your life. Also, if you can hear that knocking, it's my dog being like, please let me go outside. So really sorry, but I'm not going to stop talking. I'm just going to get up and get it to her. Right, sorry if it's a bit different sounding now. Hopefully it sounds similar, but yeah, apparently even plants have diverse variations of colour that extend well into the ultraviolet range. They also use the thing of red light versus far red light to find out whether they should germinate. So if a seed is around a load of other seeds, because they can tell because there'll be less far red light around them, then or it might be the other way around, but it's one of them. They can tell by the lack of red light because they can perceive it. They'll know, oh, there's like a lot of seeds around me. It's not a good time for me to germinate, and not germinate themselves, bro. Right. Also, they also have diverse variations of colour that, are proper mad. Obviously, to us, they're just like green, but they might be speckled with light and colour to tetrachromats that are surrounded by auras of colours that literally just don't exist to us. Like, imagine there's colours that to us, we can't even think of them. We can't even make it up in our heads. Like, we can't even, like, what's the word, conceptualize it. Like, that is insane to me. Sorry if I keep going in and out. I can just see myself getting excited and like leaning towards the microphone and then being like lean back, and then I lean forward, and then I lean back, and then I lean forward. So sorry if it's really annoying for volume control, but I'm just excited. I'm going to call this episode Girl Speaks Enthusiastically About Colors. Because that is literally what it is. But colors are mad. Like, some of the stuff I'm like, oh my god, like, you do know it, but you also don't really think about it. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself, and I really don't want to be one of those people that's like, everything is the same for everyone. Like, obviously, some of the shit might not apply to you. You might also be colorblind. I have a friend who's colorblind. Really sorry if they feel like they're left out of this. I know I've been speaking about things that some people, with sound and everything, some people don't have the ability to hear sound. Some people don't have the ability to see different colors. And I really don't want to be exclusive, but obviously those things can affect those people as well. Even if it's not something that they're able to perceive, they can still be affected by different frequencies in the episode that we were talking about last time, and they can also be affected by colors. Even if you can't perceive all colors, usually can perceive some variation of tone, and this kind of information can also be interesting and relevant. So hopefully everyone feels included. Lots of love to you all. Also, very, very interesting, pigeons and butterflies see an even stranger world. They are pentachromats, and for every colour we see, they see 10,000 tons of that are indistinguishable to us. Sorry, not tons, tones. Tons. So 10,000 tons of colours, no, tones. 10,000 tones of it that are just indistinguishable to us. So to them, they've got some rich ass landscape. They are seeing some beautiful things. Imagine like what a world it is like for a pigeon and a butterfly. No wonder pigeons sometimes look like they're just like la 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 la, and butterflies are just like la 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 la. They're living in some like candy land, and we're just here with all of our basic bitch colours. Like, do you know when you heard about the dogs and you felt kind of sorry for them? Hey, that's what pigeons and butterflies think about us. It says here though, I should make this clear, and I feel like everyone probably knows this, but it says here, in reality, the world, everything around us, is more like a black and white movie than a colour one. We add the colour at the editing stage as our retinal cones grade the world for us. We see colour because light bounces off of an object, such as a blade of grass, the petal of a flower, or an orange, and its frequency is absorbed by the photoreceptors in our eyes. That word frequency again, very interesting. Without these visual receptors, there is no colour, only light and shade. Colours are therefore not properties of the objects themselves, they're qualities that we create, albeit without our conscious awareness. So there's no correct way of seeing. Is the butterfly more correct in its perception of a flower than us? Maybe, but our eyes aren't cameras that take snapshots of reality. Nobody actually sees reality. You just see your reality. Your perception shapes your experience. And, as humans, we do mostly see the same sort of picture, but that doesn't mean it's the true picture. Like if we went under some fundamental change in the way our senses perceive things, which is not impossible to imagine, then our world would possibly then become completely alien to us, and it would be the same world, but we'd perceive it differently. It'd probably be like being on acid, but like tenfold. It would be insane. Sorry, I use the word insane all the time, and I really want to make sure that I'm not being too disrespectful because I say insane because there have been times in my life where I have been insane, where I felt like I'm insane. Um, so I've kind of felt like it was okay for me to say that, but now as I've become someone that I feel like maybe I'm not as feeling as insane, oh, that's my dog bark. It's kind of difficult because I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't be saying this now. Maybe it's discrimination now if I don't feel like I identify in that way. Um, but all love to everyone anyway. Well, do you know what? Not all love to everyone. Love to a lot of people. um, but yeah, I saw this thing earlier that said many neuroscientists and physicists believe that the 3D world we see is a shadow of something more fundamental, not unlike the shadows on the walls described in Plato's allegory of the cave. Each species, or perhaps each consciousness, creates reality, air quotes, in a different way, forming the colours and textures, seemingly even the appearance of people and objects around them. Which is might be why some people think certain people are better looking than other people. That's why you might see somebody's like, yeah, they're gorgeous, and you think, no, they're fucking not. Might not just be your opinion, it might be like the way you're perceiving them. I mean, in a way, obviously, but yeah, it's one of those things where I'm now going to go around in circles in my head, like, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but, like a fucking broken Janet from The Good Place. Had to get the door for the dog again, so really sorry if it's changed again. What am I like? Sorry. Okay, yeah. So what was I going on about? Oh yeah, like this is just a short little thing, but what I found was really interesting was that a study that done over like 100 different languages of different word terms for colours found that red in over 100 languages was always the third color term to be developed, to be added to the language after black and white, which going back to what I was saying about being able to see red under the skin, like blood, to see it, to be able to interact with people about their health, that kind of thing, um, really makes sense in a way. But I guess that's also why I would say we have one of the strongest reactions to red. Because for generations, for eons, for literally forever, that has been something that has been prevalent, that we've had a reason to think of red and to think of it either as, there's loads of associations with red, but it's got associations for sure. Do you know what I mean? Like it does make you think of things. And I guess at this point now, every color you can think of really makes you think of things. But I guess, well, no, maybe not every color, but, well, yeah, every color, but maybe not every shade. Do you know what I mean? But there could be certain shades to you that remind you, say, of your childhood home or a beach house that you used to go to or a certain, a bag you used to have or something, and those things. Like to me, purple, my sister always, because she can't communicate in the same way as other people, purple throughout her childhood was always like her color, and it would always be like people would buy her purple things because she liked Barney the dinosaur, so it became like, do you like purple? Yeah, here's loads of purple stuff. So whenever I see purple, I almost feel like I can't have purple things because I kind of feel like that's her color, if that makes sense, which it doesn't really make sense, but I don't feel like a big bond with purple myself because I kind of feel like I mean, I do in a way where I think of it lovingly to do with her. My association is that it's to do with her. Do you know what I mean? So it's lovingly in that way. But for me, I don't think of it as like I don't wear purple that often. I don't think I even own anything purple. But not that I don't like purple. See what I'm going? I'm just going on with myself. You guys don't care about whether or not I like purple or not. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm just going on with myself. I'm just veering away from the notes, even though I've got like 20 studies to talk about. I've just decided, let me just ramble on for 5 minutes about something that nobody cares about. You guys do care, don't you? You do care. You love me. No, right, okay. But yeah, right. So what I was going on about is several robust studies have been conducted into the impact of color on memory. Apparently, seeing red before a test can make you more likely to fail. And similarly, when 8 and 9-year-olds conducted a series of tasks in the presence of different shades, academics found that their overall performance was significantly worse around red versus grey, which was used as the baseline. Another study showed that a correlation between creativity among children in the presence of green or objects of that colour, such as plants. So basically, more green and less red, baby, if you know what I'm saying. Wink, 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 wink. Yeah, it's just interesting, isn't it? Like, I also saw that in studies about M&Ms, not M&M the rapper, M&M's the chocolate, volunteers felt that brown ones had a greater chocolatey flavour than the green ones, even though the chocolate levels are exactly the same. And I have probably experienced that myself, I'm not going to lie. In another, where a cherry drink was coloured green, 37% of the tasters couldn't taste the cherry at all and insisted that it was lemon and lime flavoured. The brain basically processed the taste in accordance with what they felt it should be, given its colour, rather than what it actually was. So, your perception is your reality. And the same thing happened in one where pineapple sherbet was coloured pink. Basically, the participants of the study couldn't taste the pineapple at all because of it being pink. It's just, it's just interesting, isn't it? Apparently, blue placebo sedatives are 2.5% more effective than pink placebo sedatives, right? Because your associations of that blue means calm. In the pharmaceutical marketing world, hot colors like red and orange are preferred for stimulants, and sedatives tend to be cooler colors like blues. So in both cases, the color itself is actually shaping the activity of the nervous system, and that's why the blue placebo sedatives are so much more effective, like 2.5% more effective than pink placebo sedatives. Like that is not 2.5%, 2.5 times more effective. Sorry. 2.5 times more effective. I don't know why I said percent, I'm such a dickhead. Times more effective than the pink placebo ones. So that is mad. In the design world, we obviously observe all the time how marketing and branding experts spend vast amounts of money and time in using color psychology to influence our emotions and perceptions of their products and their services. The color blue is used by services to evoke our trust, while the color green is abundant in natural, eco-friendly, organic products. And obviously, that's why Starbucks use it to make us think subconsciously that it's a super eco-friendly coffee creator or coffee supplier. I don't know what you would call it. Coffee place. Website designers, marketers, probably even you, me, we're all making use of the laws of color combinations when creating websites, online profile, products, brands, everything. And that is because of how much they are attached to our emotions. When selecting art for hospitals, any works that have a predominance of the colour red are avoided because its association with blood. And, obviously, unsurprisingly as well, red, dark, dismal colours, especially black, are avoided in psychiatric units. And it might just seem like, yeah, orbs, we all know, this is kid stuff, colours and shapes, blah, blah, blah. But I just feel like these things are leading up to what I'm going to say about how we can use colour to benefit ourselves. And I feel like if I don't say all this stuff, people can say, what? No, because we're so keen to say, yeah, I agree with all these things. Subconsciously, I just kind of go along with it. And then when it comes to but you could use it to help yourself, you're like, no. Do you know what I mean? So it's why don't we just all see what we can benefit from in the world, even if it's 1% benefit in our life, 1% benefit of pain reduction, 1% stress reducing, 1% anything. That's better than not having it, isn't it? If it's quite easy to do, if it's just wrap a nice blue blanket around yourself to feel more calm, then that's something that you could definitely do. Do you know what I mean? That's something so easy to achieve. So I'm just definitely interested in exploring the benefits of these types of things. A study that looked at the use of colour in shop display windows found that the use of red tended to increase spontaneous purchases. Bro. Probably because it makes us feel spontaneous, but I mean, if you want people to buy things from you, I don't know, in a way it's does that put people off in certain situations? But then in situations where it's it might make people kind of panic buy. Do you know what I mean? Not panic buy buying toilet roll during the pandemic, but just panic buy in terms of should I just get this? Yeah, go on then. Do you know what I mean? It's just interesting, isn't it? Maybe if you own a business, you could make use of that. But I also saw that in Buchanan Street in Glasgow, the council installed blue lighting in 2000, in the year 2000, purely for aesthetic vibes, but then found that crime rates also dropped substantially at the same time, which is quite insane, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I read loads of studies that were like, you're more likely to retain info from a presentation delivered in color than in black and white. But like, obviously, it feels obvious, but it is true. Like, it's like, okay, so how are we benefiting from using color more, especially like in, professional settings? We might be less likely to want to put like loads of colorful different things. Like, when I've got spreadsheets, which is all the time, I've got a huge spreadsheet for work that's just mine. I've got a million tabs on it. It's my master sheet. I highlight things in loads of colors because for me, as someone who has most likely got ADHD, it's a lot easier for me to follow things if I feel like there's a big contrast. I do it with my notes, I do it with everything, but I feel like it's because color increases your awareness and draws attention, and attention to information is more likely to store it in memory. It makes sense, but are we utilizing it past, childhood? Like, I feel like schools, yeah, there's colors everywhere, and they know it's because they know, yeah, that helps children learn. But are we utilizing it as we get older, or are we thinking, no, that's for kids, when actually it continues to help you throughout your life? It's interesting, isn't it? I saw a study that was done about shapes and colours found that colours have a better and greater ability to capture attention than other variables. So people have remembered them more correctly than recalling shapes and that. So it's just interesting, isn't it? Like, I kind of thought, shapes, why not shapes? But colours more impactful. It's because I think it's one of our like it's like one of the earliest things, isn't it, that you learn about as a child just now. But I imagine it was one of the. In fact, I don't even need to imagine. I know because I've done the research, and I'm sure you all know just because it's just like part of our world. Is that color has been something that's been really celebrated and worshipped and utilized throughout ancient history as well as throughout history in all times. But when you think about history sometimes because we weren't there for certain parts of history, no matter how old you are, there is a history that you obviously weren't there for. You think of it as kind of being in black and white. Well, for me, like when I think about ancient history, I think of it being in color because when I watch things about ancient history, those things are in color because I'm watching them now. But when I think about like more recent history, but when things were more black and white for cameras and for, for TV and stuff like that, I think of it as being like a black and white time, but it's not. It's just because the pictures we have from then are in black and white. But obviously, people who have lived through those times probably don't think of it like that. It's just interesting, isn't it? Like things used to be more pastely and stuff, not as strong colors or as rich colors because it's through artificially dealing with colors that we've been able to get those working in some respects, but it's from nature that we find the most beautiful colors for fashion and for art and for, it's beautiful flowers, beautiful birds, even though we can only see from the trichromatic cones, you know, we still see beautiful colors, and I feel like we utilize them all over our world for pleasure. But do we do it for health as well? Yes, we do. Want to find out? Oh, my dog is literally barking. You can't come in here right now, Betty. You can't come in because you're going to make too much noise. She's looking at me all sad-eyed through the glass, but she comes in and she makes loads of noise, and I have to keep getting up and then the change into the sound. You guys don't need to know. You don't need my problems. Take a deep breath. Right, isn't life nicer?
The next day.
Right, guys, you are not going to believe it, but at that point of the recording, obviously to you guys it'll sound like I'm literally just talking more, but hopefully you can tell the difference. I mean, hopefully not really. I don't really want it to sound different, but anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. At this point, it's now tomorrow. It's now the next day. And the reason is because I got up to help the dog and at the exact same time realized my laptop hadn't been plugged in the way I thought it was and it died and I was still in the middle of recording. I hadn't actually paused it or like saved it or anything. So then when my laptop came back on again, I couldn't find the file for ages. I had to go to like through a whole different thing, and I was panicking because I'd already spoken for so long that I'd have to just say it all again, which obviously wouldn't be as natural or as interesting. So yeah. Anyway, long story short, found it, so no big deal. But yeah, then I was like, "Do you know what? I'm done recording today. That's it. I'm done." Because the dog just kept needing my attention, and bless her, this morning she actually cut her mouth and she was just bleeding everywhere. It was horrible. So now I feel well guilty for being like, dog, I cannot get the door for you again. But anyway, she's sleeping next to me now. So everything's okay, everything's cool, and we're going to get back into it, all about colours. So buckle up. Colour is mad. Here's some little stats about colour, right? In the UK, 3 of the football teams that wear red are Manchester United, Arsenal, and Liverpool, right? And those 3 teams, I think, have won about 41 of around 75 Premier League championships since the last UK war. So most of them have been won by those 3 teams, which is it related? Don't know, but could it be? Definitely. And also in relation to that, in like Greco-Roman wrestling since 1896 and the start of the modern Olympics, 67% of the fights, like the wrestles, is that how you say it? I don't know, have been won by the wrestlers that are wearing red. So yeah. It's mad though, because I also found out earlier that studies show that if you'll overestimate the temperature by 2 degrees when you wear red or you can see red, so it really is like actually a warm colour. And for over 40 years, those at the top of Mount Everest have actually utilised this to stay warm. So that's pretty impressive, to be honest. I also saw that poker chip experiments in the Netherlands in 2012. Players basically in these experiments were given red chips, and well, some of them were given red chips and some of them were given different chips. But the ones who were given red chips bet more often and more highly and showed evidence of being more competitive. When asked how they felt during the game, they reported feeling stronger. Comparatively, players using white or blue chips were folding more, basically like not playing as much and just being like, nah, which I thought was quite interesting. And I also found out that the boss of Google UK reported that in the same year, in 2012, they questioned whether the blue of their trade links, which we now see in grey, would influence the number of clicks. So in 2013, we, the general population, tried out 50 different shades of grey, which obviously sounds jokes because of the book and movies and stuff, but actually they're generally saying that, well, it was like a grey blue. But literally, yeah. And internationally, they found out the one that made us click the most. And the boss of the Google UK, I don't know what his name is, says that the single change, that one single change, has approximately made them over $200 million, which is pretty cool when you think about it. And if you just think about how you could be utilizing this in your personal life, it doesn't have to be on this grand scale, but it could be. There's a lot of things that could make a difference to your life just in color psychology, even like a first date or like loads of things. Not that first date is like the most important thing, but like a job interview, even just having a certain kind of day with a family member, or celebrating yourself in a certain type of way, or being like, do you know what, I'm gonna have a red type of day today, I'm gonna have a pink type of day today. I don't know if any of you do that, maybe dressing specifically in one color. I know there's one lady who does it. She's called like the Green Queen of Brooklyn. I think her name's Elizabeth T something. Let me look it up. Oh yeah, her name's Elizabeth Sweetheart, and she was 74 at the time of the article, and then she's known in her area in Brooklyn as the Green Lady of Carroll Gardens. Oh, for her evergreen approach to life. For the past 20 years or so, she has dressed head to toe in a bright lime green with hair dyed to match. And her whole house is all green and everything. That's so cute. And I've seen a lady who does it in pink as well. I think her name might be Betty something, but I'm not actually sure. But I definitely want to be that old lady. I want to be any of these old ladies who's like, yeah, I'm going to pick a color and just like really vibe through that particular color. I think that's cool. I don't know about you guys. Maybe it's not. Maybe you guys think it's weird. But yeah, more on the taste thing as well. At Bordeaux University, 54 oenologists, or like oneologists, no, I think it is oenologists, which is like a wine expert, tasted 2 wines, yeah. So one was made to look red with an odorless food colouring, but both were this white wine, which was called an AOC Bordeaux Blanc. And these oenologists would be most likely to know that type of wine because it's like a local wine, basically. And all 54 of the oenologists associated the one dyed red with red wine characteristic flavourings like strawberry and leather and whatnot. But the same wine, which just didn't have the food colouring in that was odourless, was described as buttery and lemony by the same people. So they've obviously, associated the characteristics of what they expect it to be. Again, obviously what we were talking about earlier, and with the thing, and they're experts. So yeah. I even saw a study that suggested that you actually eat less off of a red plate and more off of a white plate. So yeah, basically red is a big deal. Apparently it's the first colour that a baby even sees. I saw that earlier as well. I was like, no. But apparently it is. Red's a big deal. Red's a big deal. Red's a big deal. Yeah. In contrast, though, I saw a recent German study that was done at one of the universities where patients suffering with depression were asked to view a series of checkerboard patterns with a variety of black and white contrasts. And when compared to a healthy control group, the depressed patients were significantly less able to perceive differences in contrast. Depression basically makes the world seem more monochrome and flat, and it essentially reduces color contrast, which, to be fair, I can relate to. I can relate to that from when I've been in that situation. So yeah, it's pretty mad that though, isn't it? Like you wouldn't actually think it. Like, obviously, you kind of associate feeling down with feeling grey and feeling, well, sometimes you say it's feeling blue as well, but interesting. 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 'Cause you don't really say I'm feeling orange. Hmm. You do say I'm feeling peachy, but I don't think it's related to the colour. It's more to do with the fruit. I don't know. Pondering. But funnily enough, it's blue. That's the most popular colour in the world. Blue sells the most paintings, and heaps of studies suggest that blue rooms, blue instructions, blue everything give you more brainstorming success and ideas. So if you're looking to try and come up with ideas for something that you're working on, it could help to either be in blue light or look at different blue things. Only during the day though, because as we've already discussed, blue light at night can be dangerous. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, maybe I got too close to the microphone then. But apparently as well, I've said apparently so many times, but it's because it is apparently. I've just found out recently. Early use of blue paint was so highly prized that laws existed as to what artists were allowed to paint in blue. And like Jesus and Mary's robes are usually the only accepted uses of the precious colour, which is pretty mad. And I also read that research shows that on average, orange or cream coloured cups definitely make chocolate taste better than any other cup with a different colour. And all this, by the way, everything I'm saying, everything I'm going on about right now, and in every episode I ever do, is always going to be based on averages, right? Which, as I've discussed in the nuance episode, aren't really the best thing, right? But it's still interesting and it could be related to you because if it's related to some people, there's a chance that it's related to you. So anything, any advice you ever hear, anything, everything, it's not like this advice will definitely solve your life. And if people are saying that, they're chatting shit mostly. But I mean, always drinking more water will generally help you, but not in every single situation. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's some advice where it's like, yeah, that probably is useful, but most things are based on averages. Like, if it's like you should do X, Y, Z things at the gym, maybe not for everybody though. Do you know what I mean? So what I'm going on about here with orange meaning that things taste better in orange. If you've got an aversion to orange, you probably don't think things taste nicer in orange. This is generally, this is like studies show that is the way it leans, you know? So just try it out, I guess, is what I'm saying. Doesn't mean that it will definitely work for you. You might find something else is more soothing to you, but then you'll be thinking about it and you can figure out what does work for you. You might think, you know what? Other people say that orange makes them feel sociable and energized, but actually orange makes me sleepy. So when I use orange in my bedroom, and that is okay. I just think it's cool to think about it. Don't know why I'm saying it in this like aggro way. Not trying to be like not trying to be aggro about it. I just have like, I just feel passionately about these things. Do you know what I mean? I just want you guys to, well, do you know, I don't care what you guys do. I mean, well, I do. Oh, what I'm trying to say is everyone can do whatever they want. And I don't mean that in a sassy way. I mean that genuinely. And I want everyone to do what they want. But it's cool if you've got more information to be able to choose what you might want, right? Right. Now, rose tinted glasses was also something we referred to, but it's actually referencing the sort of friendly light euphoria of seeing things through pink. And studies show that compared to white classrooms and white prison cells, pink classrooms are found to be more positive. No, what am I going on about? Okay, I got distracted because the thing I've written down is about classrooms, but there's also drunk time pink, which I will talk about after. No, studies compared white classrooms to pink classrooms and found that comparing the drawings of classmates slash participants over 10 years, that the drawings were noticeably more positive. Now, that could just mean life got better in that school over 10 years, or life got better in the world over 10 years, or, you know, anything really. But it's still interesting. It's still an interesting thing to think about. And Drunk Tank Pink, I think it's called like Baker Miller Pink as well. Essentially, like in the 50s or something. I don't have the information in front of me, but I have read it like 50 times in the last 2 days. The reason I wasn't going to talk about it properly is because the study that was done in the first place, even though it's been used all over the world now, this original study has been found to be like not that useful because they didn't do a control. they just had it white before and they've compared it to the pink afterwards, they say it's not like a good enough study. So I don't like to say things that like might be particularly considered to be not good enough studies, but I'll tell you about it and you guys can make up your mind about what you think about it. Let me just get the information up in front of me. Right, essentially in like the 50s or something, I can't find the information about it that I wanted to read it from, that would be like the most concise. But basically in the 50s, a guy found out that when they painted a room pink in a prison, all the crime in that prison room stopped happening. People weren't as aggressive in that room as they had been when this had been quite a violent prison area. So they basically took that all over Europe, America, and the UK and everything, and painted loads of the prisons pink. And it has been shown to have some good effects, but it might not be as good as what people would have originally thought, because they didn't do it where they put some people in a pink room and some people in a white room as the comparative. They just put people in a pink room after it had been white and looked at the difference, which could have been, again, like in the classrooms for other reasons. But in my opinion, if you want my opinion, it couldn't hurt. Do you know what I mean? If you had like pink paint on the wall with little smiley face stickers everywhere, you're a lot less likely to have a stabbing go down in there. Doesn't mean stabbings won't happen in there. It doesn't. Obviously, it doesn't mean that, but it could mean that the percentage chance goes down. And really, if you want to get down to it, the world is all about mathematics, isn't it? It sounds boring to say that, but it's true. And I just think if anything can reduce the chances of something a little bit, then it's worth it, isn't it? Like a seatbelt in your car doesn't stop you from dying in a car crash, but it reduces the chance. I just think that could be the same with colour. Maybe I'm just being extra, but that's just me. Anywho, yeah, that's why I wasn't sure about talking about drunk tank pink. But since I brought it up unexpectedly when thinking about the pink classrooms, I thought I'd let you guys know. You can take it for what you will. But on the other hand, lots of other colour things are interesting. You can spice up your life with this one, because apparently in a study of over 2,000 couples, those who were put into a mauve bedroom had sex more than 3.5 times more a week than those in the control coloured room. And there was like a few different control coloured rooms. Bro, seriously, 3.5 times more. 3.5 times more. Jesus. Apparently 12 times a month means 10 years longer life, so get shagging, babies. And the crazy thing is like design trends in the West are so neutral and boring and plain most of the time. Like obviously there is like maximalists as well, which I do think is cool. But just like if you like look up design like ideas in the UK right now, it'll come up with like dead plain shit, and it's like we need to get colourful to get shagging. Yeah, it's interesting because in the same way, the neutral thing, today, 3 out of 4 cars sold are black, grey, or white, where in the 50s, 75% of the cars were colourful, with the top 3 colours being green, red, and blue, which, funnily enough, is like the colours that we perceive or something. I don't know. Back it up into RGB. Do you know what I mean? It all connects. Oh my God. I don't know why I always lean in as if like I'm just being annoying, because when I lean in and out, it bothers the sound. So I should stop doing that. But when I get enthusiastic, I like lean close to the mic, like yeah. So sorry about that. But I saw this cute quote as well by this guy Pierre Dac, who said, "If grey matter, which is the stuff in our brains, obviously, was rosier, we wouldn't have such dark thoughts." Oh, cute. It's funny as well because colour really can affect our health as well. Studies show quite a lot of interesting things that honestly did shock me a bit. But let me start with this. So, blue-green light phototherapy is used internationally to treat neonatal jaundice, and it essentially works by shining fluorescent light from the billy lights onto bare skin. A specific wavelength of light can then break down bilirubin, which is what causes jaundice and why they're called billy lights, into a form that the body can get rid of through basically going for a wee or going for a poo, which is so interesting to me. And I also read in this Healthline article that blue light therapy is most commonly used to treat sun damage and pre-malignant or malignant skin cancer growths. Sorry, I've got a cold. Apparently, it can actually be used to prevent skin cancer, which honestly, I would take it with a pinch of salt, but it's on like a proper website. I would say it's a good source. it can actually be used to prevent skin cancer and remove both precancerous skin lesions and cancerous skin lesions that haven't been spread to other areas of the body or metastasize. Obviously, that doesn't mean just like put a blue light on in your house and hope it does the right thing. Like, it would obviously need to be like a specific type of thing, but it's still using the blue light. Do you know what I mean? I mean, to be honest, it might be just stick on a blue light at home, but it's probably like one where you've got to get a special one or like a specific one, not just like put your torch on for a blue piece of paper or something. But maybe, I don't know. Blue light therapy can also treat other types of skin disorders like acne. I actually saw Millie from Love Island had like a special light that she's using at home for acne, scars and stuff, and it was a blue light. So yeah, that was interesting. It can be used to improve skin texture and reduce sebaceous hyperplasia or enlarged oil glands. And then also, it can help with removing sunspots and even scars that were originally caused by acne as well. So, in addition to treating like skin conditions, cancer, everything, blue light therapy can also be used as like a treatment for depression, and it's especially effective when treating major depressive disorder with seasonal patterns, so like seasonal affective disorder. So, yeah, I actually even saw it in Grey's Anatomy. I don't know if any of you guys watch Grey's Anatomy, but if you do, you'll know about the blue room that they go and sit in that's dead calm, and yeah, trust the source, you know. And also, green light has been shown to decrease the severity of migraines. There's also research done that green colored eyeglasses, like my eyeglasses, improve pain and decrease the use of pain medications, specifically opioids, which obviously there's an opioid crisis in so many countries right now. And they found that the green light also has a positive effect on anxiety. So that is something where I feel like you could just whack on a green light at home and potentially use it to like calm down for the evening or after work, or if you're having a stressful day, just something like if you're just feeling a bit stressed and you're like, oh, I just want to feel better. Like, there are a few things that you could intentionally and actively do to try and make yourself feel better. And honestly, I think even just the act of intentionally trying to make yourself feel better by doing something, like sometimes I like light a candle if I want to feel better, or put like a lamp on, or do you know what I mean, like things that you would do, like sometimes you put on like a fresh pair of pajamas or different things like that where you're like, I just want to feel better. There are other you can add more things to that, and isn't it great to have a bigger tool belt of loads of different options of things you could add to make yourself feel better, even if each one is like 0.2%, you know, that's still worth doing. That's still worth doing, because in combination, that's mad. That could end up being loads. So yeah, color therapy has anecdotally been found to help in a number of situations, and not just anecdotally, but in studies. So it can positively impact academic performance, it can assist with aggressive/hostile behavior, it could reduce the symptoms of ADHD, it can help with reading if you're somebody that struggles with dyslexia, it can help with learning difficulties, it can help with all sorts of things. And while not a primary treatment, it could help alleviate physical ailments with epilepsy, insomnia, migraines, and vision disorders. So it's pretty powerful, isn't it? You can't deny that it's powerful. It is. There was a guy called Goethe, I don't know if that's how you say his name, but let's just say it was, and he was from the years 1810. Well, he wasn't from the years 1810. He was around in 1810, and in that year he penned his theory of colours. By the way, I'm doing little quotation marks, in which he linked colour categories. So, like the plus colours of yellow, red, yellow, yellow, red, to emotional responding, which would be like warmth and excitement. And then in 1942, this other guy, Goldstein, expanded on his intuitions, basically saying that certain colours like red and yellow produce systematic physiological reactions manifesting in emotional experiences like negative arousal or like cognitive orientation, see like outward focus, and overt action like forceful behavior. So people have been basically saying this for years, right? I'm not saying anything new, but how much, because I know I haven't like actively and intentionally thought about its power as often as I would like to. How much do you actually think about it? Like, when I actually think about it just now, I was thinking, there has been times where when I've been getting a bit witchy, I've bought like different colored candles, and I've tried to read about like all the different intentions for each one. But until now, it's not really occurred to me so much why it's so powerful, if you know what I mean. But it is powerful, it's cool, and it would definitely be something interesting to try out different intention candles or different things of different colors, and just see how you feel with it. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, Jan.
Let's talk art.
You want to talk about art?
There's a lot of cool things about color. I'm arty. I like to be interested in colour. I think it's really cool that you can mix colours and make a whole spectrum of shades of a colour by mixing the colour on the opposite side of the colour wheel into it in varying proportions. Like if you want shades of orange, you would add a little bit of blue. That is cool to me. That I don't know why that's cool to me, but it is cool to me. I think it's also cool that all the different tones of colours can have such wacky colour names. Like Dulux, thank you. Thank you for showing up to the funny naming party. And yeah, I feel like lipsticks have funny, anything that's got different colours will have all different names. It could be like cheat on your boyfriend blue. You know what I mean? Like they have wacky names. I haven't actually looked any up for point of this. So either watch this space while I pause it and then go and look some, or or just leave it. Hold on a second. I don't know what to do. Right, I'll just read you a few from this list. So we've got Careless Whisper, Snugglepuss, Spill the Wine, Dead Salmon, Simmer Down. It's like white basically. Disco Nap, Ghost Tree, California Hazy. That's just like a sound of weed, isn't it? Impulsive Purple, Feel the Energy Green, Hyperlink, Marry Me, Mole's Breath, Elephant's Breath, In Your Eyes, Nacho Cheese, Newborn Baby, Search Party, Plum Dandy, Pennies from Heaven. Do you know what? Some of these would be good band names. Drop Out. There we go. There we go. So yeah, art has used colour through history. It's obviously been part of the natural world for so long that it's always going to be in our art because our art sort of mirrors our history in some ways. But artists invented the first pigments, which were a combination of soil, animal fat, burnt charcoal, and chalk, as early as 40,000 years ago, creating a basic palette of 5 colours. So there was red, yellow, brown, black, and white. And since then, the history of colour has been one of perpetual discovery, whether through exploration or scientific advancement. The invention of new pigments accompanied the developments of art history's greatest movements from the Renaissance to Impressionism. So artists experimented with colours basically never seen before in the history of painting, and that's taken us through a sick whirlwind of different eras of different art revolutions and stuff like that. So obviously red is one of the oldest pigments still in use. Red ochre, I don't know how to say that, ochre, O-C-H-R-E. I've heard it used loads of times when people are talking about using it in like Bob Ross and stuff, but I can't remember if he says ochre or ochre, so I'm just going to pretend that, well, I'm not pretending anything. You guys can just hear me saying I don't know what it is, so don't know why I'm pretending anything. Apparently, the most popular red pigment in the 16th and 17th centuries came from the cochineal insect, which was a creature that could only be found on a prickly pear cacti in Mexico. And then the little white bugs produced a rodent dye so sought after by artists and patrons that it quickly became the third greatest import after gold and silver. Basically, when all the bastards were stealing all the shit from other places in the UK, all the UK bastards were like, yeah, let me go steal all this from all the other places. They also stole shit from this bug, but also just all over Europe and stuff. Like I said before about blue, you weren't even allowed to use blue in most paintings. It obviously was proper in The Girl with the Pearl Earring in 1665, but it was still one of the earlier kind of uses of blue in like popular art that we talk about a lot as societies. Obviously, yellow was used a lot by Van Gogh. He and Turner used yellow a lot basically. In fact, Turner used yellow so much that other contemporary critics of art mocked him for basically saying that his images were afflicted with jaundice and that he might have a vision disorder because they just said that the yellow was so awful, but I actually think it's nice. He basically did like sunlit seascapes and stuff like that, and he used like an experimental watercolor of Indian yellow, but it basically was paint coming from the urine of mango-fed cows. But apparently that was banned less than a century later for its cruelty to animals, which seems weird when people just kill cows all the time for food, so what the fuck. But anyway, he would put that same yellow in with another yellow that was like a synthetic one, and it was one that was used to known to cause delirium, so he was obviously just sending himself insane by using this strange yellow paint. Van Gogh did his Starry Nights and Sunflowers with all yellow as well, and yeah, he loved it. So he was a big fan of it, which he said it was sunlight warming his soul. So yeah, I wrote a poem about Vincent van Gogh and his yellow love a while ago. You could check that out. Anyway, green pigments have been some of the most poisonous in history. Obviously, the way that people get it is through different things, and one of the main things that people was getting it from in like the 1700s was from arsenic, the toxic chemical. So it was cheap to produce this type of green, but everyone knew it was dangerous, and like it sounds mad how many artists were using all this stuff, getting well high off of it unintentionally, and then being like, whew. In fact, apparently Bonaparte's bedroom wallpaper had this particular type of green made from the arsenic, and historians believe that the pigment caused his death in 1821. Bro, oh my God. Purple's mad. I've been reading recently that if you want to do scripting, which I have been doing a lot of for many years and have been really successful with, which is a manifestation technique, which you can Google, or maybe I've talked about it before. I think I definitely have. But if you use a purple pen, it can be more connected to your intuition. But purple through art history was used a lot by impressionists, especially Monet. Critics accused the painters of having violetomania, because everyone loved the hue of purple. That when they started using it all the time, everyone was like, "For God's sake, stop using loads of purple." And Monet basically once said, "I have finally discovered the true color of the atmosphere. It's violet. Fresh air is violet." Which, to be fair, I agree with. I love Monet's paintings, they're beautiful. Ugh. Right, this is mad. This isn't that much to do with colour, but I'm going to tell you anyway. In 1841, this guy, Rand, who was a portrait painter, grew frustrated with the messy practice of storing paint in a pig's bladder, which was apparently the prevailing method for preserving pigments at the time. Ew. And invented a more practical and portable option, the collapsible paint tube made of tin. Bro. Ugh. Apparently, the old way that they used to make bone black, which is like a shade of black, would be by burning animal bones in an air-free chamber. God, pigments and colours for art have been insane. Like, some of this stuff is crazy. Of all the pigments that have been banned over the centuries, the colour most missed by painters is likely lead white. The hue could capture and reflect a gleam of light like no other. Though its production was anything but glamorous, apparently the way that they would do it with pigment involved layering cow and horse manure over lead and vinegar. After 3 months in a sealed room, these materials would combine to create flakes of pure white. While scientists in the late 19th century identified lead as poisonous, it wasn't until 1978 that the United States banned the production of lead white paint. Oh my God. So many famous artists that you'll know of have been painted with all these such dangerous types of paint. Anyway, I know this episode is not about paint, it's about colour, but I find it so interesting how colours have been used in the history of art and how they've evoked emotion and how they've portrayed things that hadn't been portrayed before. When the TV and the camera started to be, I don't know why I said the TV and the camera, but when TV and camera and film all became colour, I just feel like things really exploded, and now we get most of our information, we spend most of our time as a collective, not necessarily me personally, but as a collective on social media, and that is images, and the colors that are in those images can be affecting us what's the word, subconsciously and under the surface without us even realizing. If you're looking at a lot of certain types of imagery in the morning, then that imagery could be affecting you because of just the colors, or obviously multiple reasons. But it's interesting to think how different things can be affecting you. And if you're aware of it and you're conscious of it, then you're more able to basically decide how you want it to be, you know?
It's colour. Colour that holds the key.
Rainbows, though. Come on, guys. Rainbows. I know rainbows are one of the sickest things ever. Rainbows are actually beautiful. And when you actually see a rainbow, I don't know about you guys, but when I see a rainbow, real joy actually occurs in my heart, because I know it's just, seeing refraction, whatever it's called, reflection through, a water droplet at whatever it is, like 42 degrees or something, at a specific thing, makes your eyes do that. But isn't that magical? Like, I know that I've said this quite a few times, but my definition of magical doesn't mean, happened in Harry Potter by the just by just magic. What I'm thinking of when I say something magical is like that is magical to me. That the fact is that all those things occur to make me be able to see something that makes me feel happy, which is all these different colors, which is cool. And also, not only rainbows in the natural world, and not only all the colours that we see all around us every day, and not only that, our fashion and our art is all inspired by beautiful colours in plants and nature and animals and creatures and different rocks and stones and gems and crystals, but also that when we close our eyes, well, at least for me, I see colours. I know there's a special word for that. I can't remember what it is. I'm going to find out. I'm going to find it. Yeah, they're called phosphines. So if you don't know what I'm on about, most people see splashes of colours and flashes of light on a not quite jet black background when their eyes are closed. So it's a phenomenon called phosphine, and it boils down to this: our visual system, our eyes and brains, basically don't shut off when they're denied light. And the colour that is just like the background of that apparently is called Eigengrau, and it's the darkness that we essentially experience when we close our eyes at night because we're actually not seeing anything in a way because there's no light, and light is how we see things, but it's got a name for its color anyway. It's just interesting, isn't it? I don't know, maybe you guys don't think it's interesting. If you don't, you're probably not still here by now, but if you do find it interesting, hit me up because I also find it interesting. I also saw a TED talk a little while ago that was talking about the amount of time you can save when you organize your apps by color. But there's so many TED Talks about the different interesting things about color. I couldn't find that same TED Talk again because I didn't save it like a dog. But it was a lot of time. Whatever it was, she was like basically doing studies about how much time you save because you recognize your apps usually by color. Like, what's the first thing you think of when you think of Instagram? You think of the color of it. Well, I do anyway, and a lot of people she was studying had that as well. And yeah, if you organize your apps by color, you're likely to be able to access them more quickly, especially if you're going between them and find them more easily. Then you're like, okay, where are all my blue apps? Okay, Facebook's a blue app, or Messenger's a blue app, or whatever the way you think it is, it could work out for you. So that's an option as well to do with memory, as we've talked about memory as being useful. I also wanted to mention that the rainbow diet, not an actual diet because diets don't work. The diet industry is a load of shit, and all science agrees with that. Anyway, irrelevantly, the rainbow diet, just eating lots of plant foods that are of different colours, is by far the most well researched, well agreed upon methods for living a healthy life. Not necessarily the skinniest life, but probably, but also just the healthiest life, which is the most important thing, obviously. And I just think if you can incorporate color into your food, even if it is also in sweets and stuff, I'm not just talking about only plant foods, but different colors in your food really might bring vibrance to your eating experience, which is always a fun thing to do, isn't it? So what's wrong with that? Nothing. I think it's a joyful thing to do. And you would do it if you had like a little kid, and you do still have a little kid inside you, whether you have children or not. You kind of are still a little kid. I think a big problem in our society is that we decide, no, we're grown-ups now and we have to just be like, no, nothing fun, which I was obviously going on about earlier as well. But I still think that. I still think, we should be making everything fun for everyone. And if we all lived a bit more childlike in things like colours and we weren't so shameful about being childish in those ways, because it doesn't mean you're immature just because you like things to be bright. Do you know what I mean? I think if we celebrated colour more, then we would be really in for a treat. Especially because like all the Skittles are nice. Everyone likes colourful things. Don't be a dick. I also love that Kandinsky quote. Right, if you don't know, Kandinsky is a Russian-born painter, and he is credited as a leader in the art world of the early 20th century. And he was one of the founders of pure abstraction in painting. So he's got a lot to say about colour. And he said loads of things like colour is the keyboard, the eyes are the hammers, the soul is the piano with many strings, the artist that is the hand that plays, touching one key or another purposefully to cause vibrations in the soul. And he also said colours produce a corresponding spiritual vibration. It is only as a step towards this spiritual vibration that the elementary physical impression is of importance, which I think is interesting as well. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't obviously say that all throughout history, in all different cultures, there's been celebrations of colour. In the Holi Festival of Colours, people have been celebrating that for many, many, many generations. And also Native Americans, people of all cultures, really, but probably we white bitches the least. So I don't want to come in here and be like, guys, you should hear about colour, because I'm sure there have been people from all sorts of cultures who have been going on about it for many years and celebrating it for many years. And I want to support those people. So sorry if I'm being annoying, and mainly just I'm excited because I love to celebrate different things that bring joy to lots of people, and I think colours are one of those things that we can really utilize for joy. Why not? Let's just make our life great. They don't call it a rainbow of emotions for nothing. They don't call it a rainbow world for nothing. We shouldn't be limiting ourselves to the black and white, to the grey, as I was even talking about in the nuance episode. I think the most important thing is seeing every shade, seeing every tone, seeing every hue, and celebrating all of them. You know, I can remember being a little girl, and I think I was about 11 or 12, and I was supposed to be painting my room, but my mum kept not sorting it out. So anyway, one day, this does sound quite naughty, but one day I bought some paint in a paint tin, and I started painting my room when I was home alone, and it was therefore called the raspberry room because I painted my room like this pinky reddy color, which, you know, what am I like? It was I did every wall as well. It wasn't like I did like a few bits that made it cute. It was like the whole room was just raspberry red. So I think maybe that was a mistake at the time, but utilizing little bits of color here and there could really be a joyful way to experience life. I've said joy about 10 million times. Dogs are barking outside, not my dog though, so it's okay. Think about how you can use color. Think about if you don't want to use color and tell me to shut the fuck up. Maybe you don't want to use color. Maybe you've heard what I've had to say about color and you're like, fuck color. I'm not using color. I don't want to be manipulated by colors and I don't believe about it. That's cool. Maybe it's not for you. But if you're listening and it was for you, then I hope you enjoyed. And I love you all loads. If you're still here by the end of this, I know this is probably a bit of an extra long episode because I've recorded it in two parts. Just a final note as well. I am going to be talking about crystals at some point soon, and some of the use of crystals that can be useful for some people is to do with the symbology of the color and what that color represents to you and in your mind and soul and body. And I also want to be clear that in different cultures, the main basic colors that are prevalent, say if you've collected loads of colors in Germany and you separate them into 6 different color categories, and then you did the same thing in Japan and, the Middle East and like loads of different places, that the basic colors, not basic like basic, but like the main primary colors that would come up, and I don't mean primary like, you know what I mean, don't get pedantic. What I'm trying to say is the colors that would come down is that areas, you know, often used shades and the different breakdowns could be different and probably would be. So if I've said blue means this for everyone, what I'm talking about is in the studies that I've read that are talking about averages, often internationally. If I've said internationally, I mean internationally. If I've not said internationally, then I mean not internationally. Um, the point is, if you're interested in it, check it out. I've got loads of links in the bio. I'll be talking about this stuff over on the Instagram at IntuitPod. And yeah, I'm really excited to be doing this podcast again. I'm really buzzing to be back. I'm excited to be cherishing colors in my own life. I think I'm gonna buy myself, I've never really owned like co-ord outfits. I mean, maybe when I was little, but not now. And I think I'm gonna get myself a few. Just see, like, maybe I'm a pink person today, maybe I'm a green person today. Just try it out. Like, see, how do I feel when I walk around in a green outfit? How do I feel? Like Powerpuff Girls. No, not Powerpuff Girls. I mean, they are different colors as well, but Power Rangers is what I meant. I might try it out. So, if any of you try it out, if any of you think, I want to feel empowered today, so I'm going to wear red or whatever, please let me know and see, we can discuss how it worked out for you, or if you're the kind of person that's like, I want to be rich today, I want to find 20 quid on the ground outside, and then you've painted your nails green so you can have a green thumb or something. Let me know, because I think these little things, they might be a bit more witchy than some of the other stuff I've been talking about, which is more just straight shot science, straight shot studies and stuff. But if you're also on the more spiritual side as well, you can make use of these types of things, because I think that they're useful and they're cute. So yeah, I think setting your intention in any way is always going to help you, which is why I had a podcast with my friend Shah, Intentionally You, that was all about setting intentions in different ways through your life. And a lot of that can just be, I want to feel this way, so I'm going to do this thing to encourage myself to feel this way. It's all psychology, but you can use that psychology on yourself. And if the psychology of colors is something that speaks to you, then give it a go. It's really just what's around you. If you want to feel a bit more confident and you put a red spice in your food, that could be your way of saying, this is my little spell, this is my little potion, this is my little thing, this is my way of saying to myself, because all of life is just a fucking placebo anyway. So if you can make use of the color-based placebos that we are actually affected by subconsciously, you can hack your life. I know it's like life hack, but I genuinely think like a lot of this stuff is just ways to help yourself out a little bit. And as somebody who has suffered with, different mental health things, wanted to die at different points, genuinely just had like a bit of a fucking rough time, and has someone that has PTSD as well. These types of little things that can just make that little bit of difference to your life, like anything to me that can reduce my cortisol by just a tiny bit for a little period of the day, even if it's only 20 minutes or anything, is useful. So if it's that I can put on a certain colored light in my living room in the evening and I might feel more relaxed, then why am I not going to do that? I am. Anyway, peace out. Love you all. Catch you next time, and thanks for listening. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye. Bye.